are y'all aware of signal jammers or Wi-Fi jammers and stuff like that? If you're not, then you might need to pay attention to what these thieves are out here doing right now. But before we get to it, you know how this goes. Question everything. You should. And remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's get to it.
Exactly. I spoke with a woman who says her SUV was stolen right out in her driveway. And when she went back to look at her Ring camera footage, hours were missing at the same time her car was stolen. And I spoke with a local technology expert who says that was not a coincidence. You see them on almost every block. A Ring or some form of doorbell camera system, the small home security device gaining significant popularity over the last decade. But as their use has grown, so has the ability of hackers.
If you're relying on wireless to be a security thing, you're looking at wrong.
Chris Burns, the owner of Techie Gurus, says security cameras that use Wi-Fi to record are more about convenience than actual security because Wi-Fi can be easily disrupted.
Now, how many of y'all have been sold on that convenience? Oh, you'll be fine. Long as you got a doorbell camera, a few cameras around your house, you can connect them all through your Wi-Fi and this, that, and the third, you'll be fine. You were sold on that. I know I was. And now to hear him make that statement alarms me.
Preventing the camera from capturing who is around your home, and criminals are catching on. A woman in Detroit found out the hard way when she says hours of her Ring camera footage were missing during the same time her blue Trailblazer was stolen from her driveway on August 14th. Similar stories popping up across the country. And Burns says he knows why.
Wireless signals are very easy to jam or block.
By using a deauthor or Wi-Fi jamming device.
Like this one right here.
A deauthor, which can be the size of an Apple Watch, will overwhelm a Wi-Fi system, forcing the doorbell camera to stop recording if you stand close enough. The accessory only costing about $10 to $50 and can be found on Amazon.
But a jammer is...
Why? Why is that being allowed to be so? We have a serious problem here. Why is that being sold and so easily accessible to people to be able to use to rip people off? That should be off the shelves. That should have been the first.
It's going to cost you maybe $150 to $1,000 depending on what you're trying to do.
And it's highly illegal, so it's more difficult to find. But a powerful jammer can prevent an entire street from recording on its doorbell security camera with the switch of a button. We reached out to Ring about the issue, and a spokesperson sent a statement saying, quote, like any Wi-Fi enabled device, Wi-Fi signal interference may affect Ring device performance. If customers are experiencing issues with connectivity, we encourage them to reach out to Ring customer support. So how can customers protect themselves?
For true security, it should always be hardwired. It should always be plugged into like Ethernet or something like that.
A spokesperson with Ring went on to say, yes, they are aware of this problem, but it's rare. But the technology expert I spoke with says as time goes on, this technology will get cheaper, so jammers could become more popular. So it's important that everyone become more aware. Live in Detroit, I'm Kiera Hay, 7 Action News.
Yeah, you know, we rely on these cameras, whether it's Ring or other versions, and you think you're safe, but now crooks are catching up.
So frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. I spoke.
So now you know this. This is your opportunity to go check or contact whoever your security company is to verify and make sure you have it hardwired into where, or figure out what else can you do to go a step further to prevent these situations like this happening to you. I know a lot of us didn't know. I didn't know. This is all news to me right now.
This just in. Elon Musk is saying that they got rid of the Department of Education. He's saying the Department of Education is no longer. Do y'all know what that means? Do you know what it means that the Department of Education is no longer? Trump is literally going to shut down the Department of Education. What does that mean for America? What does that mean for our children? I want y'all to really think about this. This is not about Democrat, Republican. What does that mean? Where are these kids going to go? voucher programs, they all aren't going to be able to fit into those schools. So what are you going to do with all these kids? Special needs services, lunch services, before and after school services, special needs services, all of this is on the line with the Department of Education. Some of these services, every family benefits from. He's cutting it, getting rid of it, to the most vulnerable Americans. This is what y'all chose.
I thought that they completely took me off EBT, but I got a notification this morning of my deposit. I don't know if they made a mistake or what is it that happened, but my $3,500 that I get a month was in my account. Like, look, this is the balance right now. I just checked it. $3,500. That's how much I get a month. And they actually deposited. I thought I wasn't going to get EBT anymore. And then when I go online to check my case, it says that it has been renewed for another 6 months. Like, what the? I am super excited because I was wondering how the was I going to buy groceries this month. But they automatically renewed me, and I couldn't be more excited. I got to go buy soda, chips, ice cream, candy, because Valentine's Day is coming up, so I have to go buy a bunch of candy. I got to get ready and go. If you guys need anything, just hit me up and let me know. I'll send it to you guys for a low fee. Or what if this is a setup and I swipe my card and they arrest me? I guess we're going to find out. So I thought
$3,500 in a month for groceries. Nah, she got to be going out and giving food to the homeless. That's what's going on. She's not. She got to be trolling us. She's going out and giving food. She has a program or something where she's giving it to the less. $3,500. I can't even tell you the time where $3,500 was used for. Like, I want to see her fridge and her freezer. This is. I want to see it. I want to see how does she even possibly spend that much for groceries. Wow.
So this is the new update from the FAFSA website, Department of Education, and oh my God, injunction, right? A federal court issued an injunction preventing the U.S. Department of Education from implementing parts of the Saving on a Valuable Education Plan and other IDR plans. Note, eligible borrowers may now enroll in pay and ICR plans. We will continue to update studentaid.gov/saveaction with more information. But it also says that now there's a new time for the actual site to be up and running again. So right now, until 11 a.m. on Sunday, Eastern Time, you can't create one, you can't log in to your account, you can't change your password, and you can't edit one that you've already created. So we'll see at 11 a.m. if anything like changes Eastern Time. Or what is this about? I've never heard of this federal injunction, but stay tuned.
The next department that appears to be on the chopping block is the Department of Education. Just earlier today, Democratic members of Congress were blocked from entering the department's headquarters. Democratic lawmakers had met outside to protest Donald Trump and Elon Musk's plan to abolish the department entirely, as well as attempting to seek a meeting with the department's senior leadership. Lawmakers were not only blocked by security holding the front door, but also by Department of Homeland Security police seen in multiple videos from members of Congress. Lawmakers were told by security guards stationed outside that nobody had accepted a meeting and that they needed an escort in the building in order to enter the building.
The door, he says he's a federal employee. He won't tell us who gave him permission to do this. All he knows is he's going to stand here and tell the members of Congress who are elected, who vote for the funding for all of them in this building, and for the student loans, and for the Title I families, he's going to tell us that we can't come in and talk with anybody. Is that right?
Joining me now is one of the lawmakers who tried to enter the Department of Education today, Congresswoman Jahana Hayes, Democrat of Connecticut, and a 2016 National Teacher of the Year. It's a great pleasure, Congresswoman. And, let's just get right to the bottom. Who tried to stop you And under what authority were they acting to block members of Congress? That's the part I have to wrap my head around. Who fund the very department that they're standing there blocking members from coming into the building?
Well, thank you, Michael, and it's great to be here. And that's a great question. We did not get an answer to that. The man who came out, he met us at the door. The door was locked, and then he came out and met us and said we were not allowed entry to the building. We had to be on a guest list. And when I said, well, what is your name? What is your title? All he would say is, I work for the Department of Education. Never said who he was, kept pulling out a badge and pulling it back quickly. But we said, we're members of Congress. We can come into the building. We can request a meeting. Would not even let us inside the building.
Amazing. It's just amazing. Well, it also kind of begs the question, what do you do next? I mean, this is the fourth time or so that members of Congress have been denied access to federal property. It's not a question of what do Democrats do, what do Republicans, what do members of Congress do when something like this happens? What do you think should happen next?
Well, I think that's really important. I think part of the problem is the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has ceded all of our Article I powers to the president. And in this case, the Speaker of the House should be saying we need to respect the separation of powers. But I know that is not going to happen. So we are bracing for lawsuits. We've sent letters to the department requesting a meeting. 96 members of Congress signed on to this meeting. Outside groups are gearing up to file lawsuits.
See, this is why I called it and like related it to a divorce. This is about to get nasty. This is about to get really, really nasty. And again, the reason why I relate it to a divorce, because in the end, who suffers? The kids. The kids. Both sides are going to be so back and forth at each other, so worried about getting at each other. Lawsuits are gonna be thrown everywhere, back and forth. All of this stuff is going to get so nasty, but the people who are going to lose in this situation are the kids. If it's about the kids, then let's try to come to some sort of reasonable solution and get this problem fixed. One side is saying it's horrible, the spending is bad, y'all are wasting money. The other side is saying, no, we're doing what we're supposed to do for the kids and the families that are less fortunate and making sure they're good. And right now, they're doing nothing but bickering back and forth and not coming to a solution. And these kids are about to suffer for it. And that's not right.
Suits because we read Project 2025. We know what's next. We know what's coming. And Elon Musk and Donald Trump, this whole administration is going play by play in what we saw in this Project 2025. But one thing I don't think people understand. For me, it was important to go to the department because and request this meeting because I'm open to, if you want to audit the department, if you want to make reforms, let's talk about it. Let's work together and see what we need to do. They don't want to do that. They want to tear everything down, just like they talked about in your last segment. And I hope people understand what that means.
Now, that's what I would like to hear, what she's saying. Now, if we can get the other side to respond in kind and say, okay, let's sit down and see and go line by line and go through things and kick out, hey, we don't need this. Okay, let's do away with that. Then we can get this thing solved. But the other side has to be willing to work with this side.
A lot of the things that Republicans are complaining about that they don't like about the department with curriculum and things that happen in the school, those are local issues, not decided by the Department of Education. What the department does handle is the $1.6 trillion in student loan funds, special education, making sure that students aren't discriminated against, collecting data and statistics from school, preparing educators to teach our students, running Title I programs for our lowest income communities. All of those things will be affected. And people need to understand if those programs are cut, one of two things are going to happen. If the department is cut, one of two things are going to happen. Either those programs are going to go away or their taxes are going to go up to fund their local school systems. Our children deserve better. 49 million children attend public school in this country. And for Elon Musk to come in with no planning, no forethought, and just plow through these agencies, with no plan to rebuild them or what's going to happen to the people that are affected is just completely wrong. And the members of Congress are going to stand up to that.
It appears that Elon Musk, Vice President Elon Musk, I guess, I don't know, he's got some role, some official role, thinks that the Department of Education is already dead. In response to Congressman Maxwell Frost's post about the DOE, he said, quote,
"No such department exists in the federal government." Wow. That was Elon Musk's response to Maxwell Alejandro Frost, who said they are blocking members of Congress from entering the Department of Education. Elon is allowed in and not the people. Illegal. Elon responds, "No such department exists in the federal government." Clearly, nobody knows. And see, for me, that's my issue. And I've said it and I'll continue to say it. If you're going to do away with the Department of Education, then what are you going to put in its place? The communication right now is horrible. It's horrible. I feel so bad for the kids, bro. So bad for the kids. And they're supposed to be the future. The ones who are going to carry the torch of taking taking us to the next level, taking us further in technology or advancements or whatever it is we're headed to. They are the next generation. So if we're not making sure that they have the adequate education, the resources, and everything that they need to succeed, then what are we doing?
No such department exists in the federal government. You're an educator, a former teacher of the year, someone who knows education better than most. You talked just a moment ago about the programs that are impacted both at the federal and state level. What does this ultimately mean for parents out there and school systems across the country that now will have to scramble, to your point, to figure out where those federal dollars come? Because a block grant is not going to cut it. And we know how block grants ultimately work, right?
Yes. And that's just it. Elon Musk's children don't need public schools. They're not relying on the services that are provided in public school. Donald Trump's children don't need public schools. It's my friends and neighbors. It's the kids that I taught. 7.5 million children receive special education services, wraparound services, accommodations, IEPs, the things that they need in order to learn and meet their educational goals. So many of our rural communities that don't have charter schools, that wouldn't be able to take advantage of some of these voucher programs. People need to think about that. All of those children will be denied a public education. When we had our committee hearing yesterday, the chairman said 1 million students access vouchers for private charter schools. They want to take all this money from the Department of Education and put it into voucher programs. There are not enough spaces for all of the children. What are we going to do with all of these kids? You know, and people really need to think about that. A nation that doesn't invest in their children, that doesn't prepare them to be global citizens, to meet the workforce, we are going to lose a whole generation of kids. And it's not just the Department of Education. They're going after funding for Head Start and HHS. I don't understand this fascination or fixation on pulling money back that we use as resources for our children. And they talk about government efficiency. They talk about the budget. They're not going to the top for all of those big ticket items, like military contractors, like closing some of the tax loopholes that they gave to billionaires. They're taking money from the most vulnerable children, from our global aid programs, a fraction of the budget that really helps invest in the future of this country. And parents need to think about that. Democrat parents, Republican parents, grandparents, everyone needs to understand exactly what this means if the federal government, the Department of Education is stripped and those services are lost. Before and after school programs, lunch programs, services for students with special needs. All of our resources that schools have, our sports programs, our music programs, all of those things gone. Districts are going to have to make tough decisions about what they can keep, and our kids will have the bare minimum in schools, and teachers will not be prepared.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Congresswoman Jahana Hayes, thank you. so much. Really appreciate it.
If you've ever been enticed to order from Shein or Temu, your fast fashion and cheap Chinese goods could take longer and cost you more. Here's why. President Trump has ordered an additional 10% tariffs on all Chinese goods. That's everything from shoes, scarves, and clothes to electronics, mobile phones, you name it. Also, part of why Shein and Temu have been able to keep costs so low for consumers is that a lot of their products are shipped directly from factories here in China. And under what's called the de minimis rule, parcels worth less than $800 have been able to get into the U.S. duty-free. That loophole is now closing, leaving Shein, Temu, and other Chinese platforms on the hook for tariffs and duties on every order coming from China. At one point, the U.S. Postal Service stopped taking small parcels from China and Hong Kong, but then reversed it without explaining why. China struck back with its own tariffs on certain U.S. imports and other measures designed to send a message that China's open to deal-making, but isn't going to back down.
The increase in tariffs will ultimately translate into inflation in the United States and become a punishment for American consumers. The Chinese people have 7 years of experience in trade wars and now are very confident that we can deal with the Trump 2.0.
Videos across social media here are almost mocking President Trump's moves and naturally applauding China's. Are both sides jockeying for trade leverage? Maybe.
In the meantime, Shein and Temu have their own strategy to offset tariffs by promoting items they already have in warehouses in the U.S. at those bargain prices. If you've ever been enticed...
This is crazy. This is crazy. I know a lot of people shop from Shein and Temu. How y'all feeling about this? How y'all feeling? A lot of people this will affect with these prices and different things. It seems like soon as you get a site that you love and you're like, oh, I'm getting it at a decent price, something I can afford, it looks good, I feel good about it, then something happens and the rug is pulled right from up under you.
China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back.
Since President Trump moved into the White House, there's been a lot of talk about the Panama Canal. Built by America over 100 years ago, it cuts right through the small country in Central America. It links the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, making it quicker and cheaper for ships to pass through, rather than going all the way around Latin America. So does China really control the canal? It's owned and operated by a Panamanian government agency called the Panama Canal Authority. Panama's president has rejected claims that China or any other country operates it. China has said claims of Chinese control over the canal are fabricated lies. China has invested significantly in Panama in recent years, and their spending has been growing. In 2023, it was $1.4 billion. The money has gone towards a series of infrastructure projects, like a new bridge over the canal. China's growing influence is now causing serious concern in Washington, but the US remains by far the largest investor in Panama. In 2023, it invested $4.5 billion there. The US also uses the canal far more than any other country. Last year, 3.5 times as much cargo passed through the canal going to and from the US than China. Panama has now announced it's cutting ties with a major Chinese investment program, a clear sign that pressure from Washington is starting to pay off.
Ooh, it's about to get interesting. So, yesterday, February 7th, 1:47 p.m. Pacific time, Kanye West, on X, known as Ye, he puts this post out. I was proposed $2 million to scam my community, those left of it. I said no and stopped working with the person who proposed it. Then he provides a screenshot of the text. Let me drop it there so you guys can look at it while I continue going on. Essentially, it's an X promotional contract, $750,000 paid up front to you, $1.25 million paid to you 16 hours after your post is on X. Pay attention here. Your post must stay up for 8 hours. It is a promotion of a fake Ye currency. After the 8 hours, you may post, quote, my account was hacked, the post was not me, end of quote. The company asking you to do this will be scamming the public out of tens of millions of dollars. Now, here's the thing. Over the last couple months, how many large influencers have you seen say their account was hacked with some crypto scam that was posted there and then it was taken down? I think Ye just busted a lot of heads right here. This is what I'll say, because we do know people get hacked. If you're an influencer, podcast, a name of notoriety, and you're one of these people that posted or said your account was hacked while a crypto scam was posted, as of right now, listen, you were scamming your community. That's the way everybody takes it. You can call that shit unfair. You can cry about it. It's very simple. You can post the receipts of you communicating with X that your account was hacked and let us see those communications. Because right now, every dirty that was on X that did this, you're all suspect. Prove me wrong. Get mad, get emotional. Yeah, I'm calling out the people you like. It is what it is. I told you this was going to be the time of disclosures. Look at, yeah, he's crazy, but he's posting a lot of truth.
This needs to happen. If this is true, let's preface it by saying that if this is true, this needs to happen. This needs to be exposed. You know how many people were taken advantage of in these pump and dump meme coin schemes? Scams? A lot of people. I always say somebody's gonna get left holding the bag because you don't know when they're gonna all pull the money and the coin drops. You don't know. But if they're actually sending out and this is included in the setup of it all, then yeah.
So boom, bro. I might be a little slow, but I ain't all the way slow because this one purple, right? This one like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I shook it, but, and then why this one blue? They all say, wow, yeah, that's that red 40, purple 3, and green 6. Finna get y'all. So.
Yeah, that right there is a clear example of probably some dyes in that red dye 3 or 40 or whatever, yellow, whatever it is. Like, that's a clear example right now. As a kid, though, I probably would have loved that. Been mad if my parents wouldn't have got it for me in the store. But as you get older, you're looking at that a different way now, especially after seeing all these recalls and understanding what we've really been drinking all these years.
I'm about to get all my loans forgiven. And so are you. Because whoever thought it was a good idea for Elon Musk to be at the Department of Education, locking the doors, running all around with access to my information, my sensitive private information, I feel violated. I think you violated FERPA. And I'm filing a complaint. Elon Musk being around our sensitive private information is a definite breach of data and a violation of FERPA. FERPA is a federal law protecting the privacy of student education records. And those rights under FERPA include privacy of educational records, access to those records, and control over information sharing. All of our financial aid data, including your children's financial aid data, was accessed without our prior authorization. So here's what we should do. We're going to contact the Department of Education. We're going to file a complaint. We're also going to file a FERPA complaint with the U.S. Department of Education's Family Policy Compliance Office. We're going to report a data breach, and we're going to request student loan relief. Other potential FERPA violations also include the following: unauthorized access or sharing of our records and your children's records. There has been failure to provide us with access to our own records, and data breaches involving protected student information. I'm currently drafting a letter and I'm filing a complaint. And I might start a lawsuit too. You should write your letter too and address it to the Student Privacy Policy Office. I'm writing a letter, I'm drafting a complaint for the immediate discharge and withdrawal of my student loans, my husband's student loans, and any leftover loans that my kids might have. Y'all need to sit down and write your letter and file your complaint today.